At a glance, they can look almost identical. Tall, graceful animals moving silently through forests and fields, crowned with branching antlers like living trees. Many people use their names interchangeably, assuming they're basically the same creature. But what if I told you that standing face to face with one versus the other could feel like the difference between meeting a horse and meeting a moose? Today, we're diving into one of nature's most commonly confused matchups: elk versus deer. What truly separates these two iconic animals, why they evolved differently, and how understanding their differences can completely change the way you see wildlife the next time you step outdoors. Let's explore, right here, on History of Simple Things. To begin with, it's important to clear up a major source of confusion. The word deer is both a general category and a specific animal. Scientifically, elk are actually members of the deer family, known as Cervidae. That means all elk are deer, but not all deer are elk. When most people say deer, they're usually referring to animals like the white-tailed deer or mule deer, species that are far more common and familiar in many parts of the world. Elk, on the other hand, are one of the largest members of the deer family, and their sheer size alone sets them apart in dramatic fashion. Size is often the first and most obvious difference people notice. Elk are massive compared to most deer species. An adult male elk, called a bull, can weigh anywhere from 700 to over 1,000 pounds and stand up to 5 feet tall at the shoulder. In contrast, a typical white-tailed deer buck usually weighs between 150 and 300 pounds. Standing next to an elk is an almost humbling experience. It feels less like encountering a woodland creature and more like crossing paths with a small truck wrapped in fur. Deer are agile and elegant, but elk carry a sense of raw power that's hard to miss. Antlers provide another striking contrast. While both elk and deer grow antlers, elk antlers are on an entirely different scale. Elk antlers are long, thick, and dramatically curved, often stretching 4 feet or more from tip to tip. They grow upward and sweep back in a way that gives elk a regal, almost prehistoric appearance. Deer antlers, while impressive in their own right, are typically smaller and more upright, branching in a way that looks compact compared to the sprawling racks of elk. These antlers aren't just decorative, they're tools for dominance, mating displays, and intense battles during breeding season. Speaking of breeding season, behavior during mating is another key difference. Elk are famous for their haunting vocalizations known as bugles. During the rut, a bull elk's bugle echoes across valleys and forests, starting as a deep growl and rising into a high-pitched scream. This sound serves two purposes: attracting females and warning rival males to stay away. Deer, on the other hand, are much quieter. While bucks may grunt or snort, their mating rituals rely more on scent marking and subtle body language than dramatic calls. If you hear a piercing, almost eerie cry in the wilderness, chances are it's an elk, not a deer. Their habitats also differ in important ways. Deer are incredibly adaptable animals and can thrive in forests, grasslands, wetlands, and even suburban neighborhoods. They've learned to coexist with humans, often wandering into backyards, farms, and city parks. Elk prefer more open and remote environments, such as mountainous regions, large forests, and expansive meadows. They tend to migrate seasonally, moving to higher elevations in the summer and lower valleys in the winter. This migratory lifestyle reflects their need for large territories and abundant grazing land. Diet plays a role in shaping these differences. Both elk and deer are herbivores, but elk are primarily grazers, feeding heavily on grasses, sedges, and shrubs. Deer especially white-tailed deer, are more selective browsers, preferring leaves, twigs, fruits, and crops when available. This difference in feeding behavior affects everything from their digestive systems to the landscapes they influence. Elk can significantly shape grasslands through grazing, while deer often impact forest regeneration by feeding on young trees and plants. Social behavior further sets them apart. Deer are usually solitary or found in small family groups, especially outside the breeding season. Elk, however, are highly social animals. They often travel in large herds, sometimes numbering in the hundreds. These herds provide safety in numbers and help elk navigate long migrations. Watching an entire elk herd move across a landscape is a breathtaking sight, one that highlights their cooperative nature and strong social bonds. Despite these differences, elk and deer share important similarities that explain why they're so often confused. Both are excellent runners, capable of impressive bursts of speed. Both rely on keen senses of hearing and smell to detect danger. And both play crucial roles in their ecosystems, influencing plant growth and serving as prey for large predators. Their shared ancestry means they have similar body structures and life cycles, even if their scale and behavior differ dramatically. So the next time you see a deer in the wild, take a closer look. Is it a slender animal slipping quietly through the trees, or a towering figure with massive antlers and a commanding presence? Understanding the difference between elk and deer doesn't just make you more knowledgeable. It deepens your appreciation for the incredible diversity within the natural world. These animals may belong to the same family, but they've carved out very different paths in the wild, each perfectly adapted to its own way of life. And once you know the difference, you'll never look at them the same way again. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.